So when I got home, I took a dose of the malaria drugs. Later that evening, our friend Grace, you know her now, John shook his head. Yes, 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 I know her. Okay. She came to visit that day. She stayed a while and told me she wants to be on her way, that she had a slight malaria and that on her way home she will buy some malaria drug from the chemist in her area. So I told her not to buy because I just bought one, that she should take a dose from the one I bought and that she will be all right. So I gave her a dose of the malaria drug and she left. 2 days later, I traveled out of the country to the United States of America. One beautiful morning, as John was driving in his car, he passed through the street where he lived as a child. He looked at the houses and it reminded him of his childhood days. As he was driving, a phone rang. He picked up the phone and said, "Hello." And the voice on the other side replied, "Hello, guess who is talking?" I just said, "I am not good at guessing. Just tell me who you are." The voice on the other side said, "I'm Emeka." And Joe replied, "Which of the Emeka?" And the voice said, "The Emeka that you know years back when we were small, we used to play football together." Then John screamed, "Emeka, my brother, my friend, it's been a long time. Where have you been?" Emeka replied, "It's a long story. Where are you now, John?" John replied, "I just drove past your house." Then Emeka said, "What a coincidence. Just turn and come back. I am in my father's house." John turned the car with great urgency. In a few seconds, he was at the house. Emeka was standing in the balcony of the upstairs and beckoned to John to come upstairs. John entered the living room with the pictures of all the family members hanging on the wall. They hugged themselves tightly as if there was no tomorrow. They were beaming with smiles on their faces. After letting each other go, Emeka said to John, "John, please sit down." "John, so good to see you. What have you been doing all this while?" They caught up on old time. John told him all about his family and his businesses and that life has been good to him. Then John said to it, "Let's shift the question from me to you now. What have you been doing with yourself, Emeka?" Emeka then responded, "I've been in the US all this while. I just came home to see my parents." John said sharply, "Oh, I forgot to ask about Papa and Mama. How are they doing?" John asked. "Oh, they are doing great. Thank God," John said. "Now, tell me all about your stay in the US." John eager to hear all about it. "John," Emeka said, "my stay in the US has not been the one of pleasures, but of serious challenges." John replied, "I want to hear all about it. Just let it out at once." Emeka said, "Okay, let me tell you the journey of my life in the US. Hope you are not in a hurry, John." John eagerly replied, "No, not at all. Emeka, let it all out." After we grew and we all went our separate ways, two of my brothers went to the US and one went to live in Canada. Then, after my university education, my brother living in the US asked me to come over, that he had made all the necessary arrangements for me to work over there. Now, all the necessary arrangements were in place and finalized for me to leave for the US. It was just few days to my departure. I had slight malaria, so I told my brother and he replied me, "Make sure you treat for malaria before coming over to the US because they don't treat malaria over here." Then I went to a nearby chemist in our area to buy some malaria drugs. After buying it, I went home. Now it was 3 days before my departure. So when I got home, I took a dose of the malaria drug. Later that evening, our friend Grace, you know her now? John shook his head. Yes, 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 I know her. Okay, she came to visit that day. She stayed a while and told me she wants to be on her way, that she had a slight malaria, that on her way home, she will buy some malaria drug from the nearby chemist in the area. I told her not to buy because I just bought one, that she should take from my own, that she will be all right. So I gave her a dose of the malaria drug and she left. 2 days later, I traveled out of the country to the US. When I got to the US, I stayed a few days. Then my brothers gave me the papers for the work they had secured for me. 3 days later, I went to resume work at the office. After about 2 weeks of working, I started feeling sick. You know, my brothers are medical doctors in the US. They took me to the hospital and they ran some tests on me. When the test result came out 2 days later, we went to the hospital. As we sat in the doctor's office, the doctor said, I am afraid I have bad news for you. Being a doctor, also, my brother asked the doctor, just let it out. So he told us that they found something in my kidney and that I had to go for further tests to confirm their suspicion. So the next day, I went for further tests and the results confirmed that my kidneys are affected by certain substances of a particular drug that they don't know about. So my brother turned to me and asked me, what drug have you been taking? And I said, no drug, brother, only the malaria drug that I took before coming here. So the doctor asked to see the drugs. Back home, my brother sent an urgent message that the same drug should be purchased from that same chemist and the same drug in another certified pharmacy in Lagos. So the drugs were sent to the US. On arrival, they were taken to the lab immediately. And upon various analysis, they found out that the substance they found in his kidneys were the same with the one they bought from that same chemist in their area, that it was a fake drug because the other one bought from a certified pharmacy does not have that particular compound in it. As they sat down in the doctor's office, they were perplexed. What do we do now? As this time it was already 2 months and his leg have started to swell. The doctor told them for now he has to be going for dialysis every 2 days. Emeka looked at John and said, John, my brother, if I go for it, I will be unconscious for 2 days. As I am coming out of it, I will go for another one. My brother, I was in pain. When I say pain, I mean serious pain. The dialysis was to last until we were able to get a kidney donor that will match mine. We looked for almost 10 years. For the first 5 years, we kept looking for kidney. The frustration grew deeper as we entered the seventh year. My wife, siblings were overwhelmed by the emotional and financial stress. My brother, the power of family cannot be overemphasized. My family came through for me. At some point, my siblings began to encourage me because all hopes of getting the right kidney was almost lost. Going to 10 years, it was then I knew the importance of family bonds. As friends, we only follow you to a point and then leave you at a junction. To make matters worse, one day, as I was coming down the stairs at home, I slipped and fell, breaking my ankles. I went in for surgeries and I could not walk for another 2 years. I wore adult pampers to tell you how serious it was. The most astonishing part is that they could not get kidney that matches mine. I was still on dialysis. You can imagine the ordeal. Then come the interesting part. It is that one fateful day, as I was lying on my bed, I got a call from the hospital that they have gotten kidneys that matches mine. I shouted for joy, but I could not get up from my bed because I was still undergoing treatment for my ankles. So after some days, we called and asked for the call. The insurance could not cover it. We had to call my brother in Canada, also a doctor, because they got the kidney in Canada. He told us his own insurance could cover it, that I should come to Canada to make things easier for everyone. So I did the kidney transplant in Canada. After the transplant, I started to get myself back. And within some few weeks, I was fully recovered. Then Emeka raised up his trousers and showed John the scars from the surgeries. John sat frozen, looking at all this. When he was able to say something, he said, "So you mean you went through all this?" Emeka said, "Yes, this and more. But today I am alive to the glory of God." Then John, after thanking God for him, said, "But all this, you did not mention Grace. I thought you both were about getting married." So Emeka paused. Grace. John, my brother, that's another story for another day. John hesitated. "No, you must tell me everything about it. I am interested. I want to know about it." Emeka sighed. "You see, after I left, with the sickness and everything, I didn't even remember whether there's anybody called Grace, nor even call her. And since she didn't have my number, she couldn't even call me. So after my recovery, I called my people and asked about Grace. I was told that she passed away about the same time I was in my crisis. So I was shocked and I asked, what happened? Can you guess what happened? I was told she passed away as a result of kidney failure. The death that would have killed me, she took it. Startled, unable to talk, I hung up the phone. After some days, when I finally recovered and gained myself from the shock of the news, I said to myself, I am responsible for what has happened to her, though unintentionally. To tell you the truth, John, I could not call the family even up to date. Then I reached out to my family and I asked about her family. I was told she was the only graduate and things were not going well for them. So on hearing this, I took it upon myself to train her remaining three siblings to the university level and to establish a business for her parents to be able to take care of themselves. John then asked, "Did you not tell them why you were doing all this for them?" Emeka replied, "No, I couldn't have told them because it wasn't intentional. And if I had told them, they would not have accepted any help from me. But the good news is that all the siblings are graduates now, and the family is doing very well now." John said, "Thank God for that. At least they are okay now." John looked at Emeka again and said, "My brother, you have passed through a lot." Emeka then replied, "John, my brother, that is life for you. Thank God for life. I almost forgot. Please, what do I offer you? Let's drink to life." And Emeka brought out drink and they drank happily. The death that would have killed Emeka killed Grace. We should be careful in life the way we take things from people. If Grace didn't take that malaria drug from Emeka, she would have still be alive till today. Thank you. Please, if this is your first time of coming across my channel, kindly like, comment, and subscribe. Then turn on the notification bell to get notified whenever I drop a video. Thank you.